There exists within the human experience a profound and often unsettling mystery, a quiet intimation that the world of solid forms and separate beings is not the full story. It is a feeling that arises in moments of deep connection, when a thought of a distant loved one is met with a sudden phone call, or when a heartfelt desire seems to effortlessly magnetize its own fulfillment out of the blue. We have all felt these subtle threads, these invisible currents that seem to link our inner world of thought and feeling with the outer world of event and circumstance. We often dismiss them as coincidence, as luck, as fleeting moments of fancy. But what if they are not aberrations? What if they are instead glimpses into the very mechanics of reality, evidence of a cosmic law as fundamental as gravity, a law that a few brave mystics throughout history have dared to grasp and wield with astonishing power? This is a journey into the heart of that law, seen through the eyes of one of its most potent and uncompromising masters, the 20th century mystic Neville Goddard. And it is an exploration of how his radical teachings on the creative power of imagination find their uncanny echo in one of the most bewildering and profound discoveries of modern science, the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. Our inquiry is titled with a sense of wonder and revelation. You won't believe how Neville Goddard used quantum entanglement to manifest, because the connection once seen is staggering. It suggests that Neville, through pure intuition and introspective discipline, understood and applied the principles of a reality that physicists were only just beginning to uncover in their laboratories, a reality so strange that it defied all common sense. Neville Goddard was a cartographer of the inner cosmos, a teacher who presented a singular radical truth that your own wonderful human imagination is the one and only creative force in the universe. He taught that consciousness is the only reality, and that the world you perceive is nothing more and nothing less than your own inner state of being, pushed out, made visible, solidified into fact. He urged his students not merely to wish or to hope, but to perform a profound act of psycho-spiritual alchemy, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to enter the workshop of the imagination, to build there the detailed sensory experience of a desired reality, and to live from that state, here and now, until the outer world, which he saw as a mere shadow, had no choice but to conform. For Neville, this was not a trick of positive thinking. It was the application of a divine law, the law of assumption. At the very same time that Neville was teaching in esoteric lecture halls, physicists were grappling with a reality that was, in its own way, just as mystical. They were discovering the quantum realm, a subatomic world that shattered every classical notion of a predictable mechanical universe. And at the heart of this strange new world was the phenomenon of quantum entanglement, a mystery so profound that a baffled Albert Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. It describes a state where two particles, once connected, remain linked in a fundamental way, no matter how vast the distance separating them. If you measure a property of one particle, you instantly know the state of the other, faster than the speed of light. They are not two separate things communicating. They are, in some deep, incomprehensible way, still a single unified system, a single story told in two places at once. This discovery broke the back of a purely local reality, proving that the universe is woven together by deep, non-local and instantaneous connections. Here, then, is the threshold of our great exploration. What if Neville Goddard's law of assumption is a practical human-scale application of the very same principle as quantum entanglement? What if, when you enter a state of consciousness and truly feel the reality of your desire, you are entangling your consciousness with that specific potential reality in the infinite quantum field? You are creating a spooky action at a distance, not between two particles, but between your inner feeling self and its corresponding outer material expression. By stabilizing your inner state, you are stabilizing its entangled partner, the event, the circumstance, the object of your desire, compelling it to manifest. This is the profound secret we will decode, that your imagination is not merely a psychological faculty, but a quantum tool of immense power, and that you are in every moment entangling yourself with the reality you choose to experience, whether you are doing so consciously or by default. The world does not simply contain you. You and the world are a single entangled system, eternally in conversation. To grasp the sheer magnitude of Neville's teaching and its startling reflection in the quantum mirror, we must first accept its foundational pillar, that your own imagination is not a faculty for idle fantasy, but is the one and only creative power, the God within. Your waking world, with all its seeming solidity and external authority, is nothing more and nothing less than your own consciousness, your own assumptions pushed out and made visible. It is a shadow cast by the light of your mind. This is the law of assumption. The world does not respond to your idle wishes, but mirrors with flawless, impersonal precision your deeply held beliefs about yourself and about it. This is the observer paradox made personal. Your focused imagination is the observer that collapses the infinite wave of potential into a single hard fact of experience. What you assume to be true crystallizes as your reality. But a thought alone is not enough. The second great theme is the engine of creation. Feeling. Feeling is the secret, Neville insisted. An assumption to be creative must be felt, embodied, and lived from within. A thought is the blueprint, but feeling is the energy that builds the house. It is the emotional charge, the sensory conviction, that gives your imaginative act its power to impress itself upon the world. This leads us to the mystery of quantum entanglement, the spooky action at a distance that so baffled Einstein. It is the principle that separate parts of a single system remain fundamentally connected, mirroring each other instantly, regardless of distance. There is no signal, no travel time. There is only a fundamental, a causal oneness. One story being told in two places. When you truly assume a state in your imagination, you are not just thinking about it, you are entangling your consciousness with that state. You and your desire become one unified system. You are linking your inner reality to its potential outer form with an invisible, unbreakable thread. The spooky action then occurs. Because you and your assumption are now one system, the outer world, the great shadow, must shift to reflect this new stabilized entanglement. The phone call arrives. The opportunity appears. The body begins to heal. Not because you forced it, but because you became one with the reality where it was already so. You entangled with the outcome. The final, most challenging theme is this: there is no one to change but self. Neville taught that the entire cast of characters in your life, your friends, your family, your perceived enemies, are all just you, pushed out. They are personified aspects of your own consciousness. Their behavior towards you is a direct, unfiltered reflection of your assumptions about them, and more importantly, your inner conversations and relationship with yourself. To change another, you do not engage with them in the outer world. You retreat into the immaculate workshop of your imagination and revise the version of them that lives within you. You change your assumption of them. This too is quantum entanglement. You are entangled with the aspects of your own consciousness that they represent. By changing your inner representation, you are changing your half of the unified system. The outer person, as your reflection, must, by cosmic law, mirror the change you have made within. There is no escape from this mirroring. These three pillars, that imagination is the only reality, that you entangle with your felt assumption, and that the world is a mirror of yourself, form the core of this mystical science. They remove all power from the outer world and place it squarely within the creative power of your own consciousness. The illusion is that you are a small, separate being at the mercy of a vast, external, and often hostile universe. The truth is that you are the universe's own capacity to imagine and experience itself, made individual for the thrill of the adventure. You are the operant power. Your assumptions, held with feeling and faith, are not petitions sent out to a distant, separate God. They are commands spoken with divine authority, directly into the receptive substance of creation. They are the primary cause of all outer phenomena. Therefore, the great work is not to change the world, but to choose the world you wish to experience, and to enter it so fully in your imagination that it has no choice but to be born. The fundamental laws of a conscious universe are not hidden away in dusty textbooks of physics or esoteric grimoires alone. They are alive, encoded in the timeless allegories and myths that form the very foundation of our human story. To truly understand the power you wield, we must move from the abstract principle to the symbolic narrative, for it is in story that a concept becomes a felt reality. Let us therefore enter a mythic workshop, a Baroque theater of creation, to witness the dance between the creator and the created, between your imagination and your world. Imagine a grand and cavernous studio, its scale so vast that its far corners are lost in opulent velvet darkness. The air is thick with the silence of potential, and the only light emanates from the center, a warm golden glow like that from a single immense hearth. In this central light stands a figure, a divine sculptor. This sculptor is you, in your truest, most essential form, the I am, the seat of all awareness. The sculptor is not surrounded by many blocks of stone, but by a single colossal, seamless block of what appears to be marble. Yet this is no ordinary stone. It shimmers with an internal pearlescent light, its surface fluid and unfixed, for it is the raw substance of reality itself, the quantum field of infinite possibility. Within this single block sleeps the form of every statue ever conceived and every statue yet to be imagined. Now observe the sculptor's method, for it is here that the great secret lies. The sculptor does not approach the marble with hammer and chisel. There is no forceful action, no chipping away at an external resistant material. To act upon the stone from without would be the way of the world of illusion, the world of struggle. Instead, the divine sculptor turns away from the marble, closes their eyes, and enters the immaculate stillness of their own being. The creative act does not begin on the outside, but entirely on the inside. The sculptor seeks to create a magnificent, heroic figure, a symbol of triumph and divine grace. They do not merely think of this statue, they perform a far more profound act of magic. They become it. Within the cathedral of their imagination, they cease to be the sculptor and assume the state of the sculpture already perfected. They feel the unshakable weight and balance of their marble feet upon the pedestal. They feel the cool, smooth perfection of their finished form, the elegant lines of their powerful limbs. They feel the silent adoration of unseen admirers, the profound peace of purpose fulfilled, the quiet, triumphant finality of being a completed masterpiece. This is not a fleeting visualization. It is a full sensory embodiment, a deep, sustained feeling state. It is the law of assumption in its purest form. The sculptor entangles their own consciousness so completely with the feeling of the wish fulfilled that within their inner world, there is no separation between creator and creation. The heroic statue is already a fact of their being. And then the spooky action at a distance occurs. Across the vast dark studio, the boundless block of shimmering marble responds. No hand has touched it, no tool has scarred it, yet a deep, resonant hum begins to emanate from its core. Compelled by the powerful, stabilized frequency of the sculptor's inner state, the marble begins to transform itself. Everything that is not the heroic statue, everything that does not match the feeling state held so faithfully by the sculptor, simply begins to fall away. It dissolves not as chips of stone, but as clouds of shadow, as whispers of forgotten potential returning to the void. The marble is not being carved from without, it is rearranging itself from within, with flawless, instantaneous fidelity to the vision held in the sculptor's imagination. The process is one of revelation, not of effort. Finally, the shadows cease their dance. The resonant hum settles into a profound silence, and where the formless block once stood, the magnificent, heroic statue now stands, perfect and complete. It is an exact, breathtaking mirror of the feeling held within the sculptor's heart. The sculptor opens their eyes and gazes upon what they have wrought, not with the surprise of a craftsman, but with the quiet recognition of a being meeting its own reflection. This allegory is the story of your life. You are the divine sculptor. Your imagination is the sacred, silent workshop. Your sustained feeling state is the one and only creative tool. And the entire world, with all its people, conditions, and events, is the infinitely responsive marble, having no choice but to conform to the vision you hold steadfastly within. The allegory of the divine sculptor is not a distant fable. It is the most intimate truth of your own being, a living instruction manual for conscious creation. You are that sculptor. Your imagination is the divine and sacred workshop, and the substance of the world is the infinitely responsive marble awaiting the impression of your conviction. But how, you may ask, do you engage in this profound work amidst the noise, the doubt, and the dense materiality of your everyday life? How do you quiet the chattering mind and the insistent evidence of your senses long enough to assume a new reality and hold it steadfastly until it hardens into fact? The process is not one of brute force, but of immense grace, not of struggle, but of a disciplined and loving art form. Neville Goddard provided a clear and potent methodology for this sacred practice, a way to consciously enter the workshop and begin the great work of shaping your world from within. The first and most critical step is to find the gateway to your creative subconscious, the throne room of the God within you. This is achieved by entering what Neville called the state akin to sleep, or sets. It is that drowsy, hypnotic state you naturally drift through just before falling into deep slumber, or in the soft, quiet moments upon first waking. In this liminal state, the loud, critical, analytical conscious mind, the guardian of your current reality, is subdued, its grip loosened. The doors to the vast, powerful, and deeply receptive subconscious are open. This state is the fertile, dark soil into which new seeds of reality must be planted. The practice then is to find a time when you will not be disturbed, to relax your physical body completely, letting go of every tension until you feel a floating, effortless stillness. You are not trying to fall asleep, but to reach the very edge of it, to hover in that serene twilight where you are no longer fully awake, but not yet lost to unconsciousness. This is the alchemical stillness, the sacred pause where creation begins. Once you have entered this receptive state, the true work of the sculptor commences. You must now use your imagination not to idly daydream, but to construct with sensory vividness a short, dramatic scene implying that your desire has already been fulfilled. It must be an action that takes place after your wish has been realized. Are you seeking a new home? Then do not visualize the searching or the wanting. Instead, stand in your imagination within the completed home. Feel the solid wood of its front door as you close it behind you. Hear the satisfying click of the lock. Feel the texture of the velvet curtains. Smell the scent of fresh paint or blooming flowers in its garden. Are you seeking health? Then feel yourself performing an act that only a healthy person could perform, sprinting joyfully along a beach, feeling the burn in your muscles and the cool spray of the ocean on your skin. The key is to make this imagined scene as real, as detailed, as sensorily rich as your current reality. You must engage all your inner senses until the imagined state feels more real than the bed you are lying on. This is the crucial act of collapsing the wave of potential. You are not just thinking of a reality, you are for a moment living in that reality. The vividness of your imagined senses and the depth of your feeling are what give the scene its creative fire. What impresses this new pattern upon the formless substance of reality? You loop this short, satisfying scene over and over, like a divine lullaby, until you are filled with the quiet, serene feeling of its truth, and then you drift into sleep, having planted your seed in the fertile ground of the subconscious. The third pillar is the most challenging and the most transformative, the discipline of living from the end. After the imaginative act in the state akin to sleep is complete, you must carry the feeling of its reality with you into your waking day. This is the vow of persistence. You must not look to your outer world for confirmation, for the shadow takes time to conform to the new light you have cast. To constantly check for results is to admit you do not have it yet, which immediately breaks the entanglement and re-impresses your old state of lack. Instead, you must walk through your day with the quiet, confident, inner knowing that it is already done. When thoughts of doubt or fear arise, as they surely will, you do not fight them, but you gently turn your attention away from them and return to the serene feeling of your fulfilled desire. This steadfast faith, this mental diet, where you refuse to entertain thoughts contrary to your fulfilled wish, is what keeps your inner state stabilized, giving the outer world the time and the uncontradicted instruction it needs to rearrange itself. And it will rearrange itself. This is the final wondrous implication, trusting the bridge of incidents. Your new reality will often unfold through a series of perfectly natural, seemingly coincidental events. The assumption of wealth does not cause money to fall from the sky. It may cause an old friend to call with a forgotten debt, a strange new business idea to flash into your mind, or an unexpected opportunity to appear. Your job is not to dictate or control the how of its appearance. That is the infinite wisdom of the greater consciousness. Your sole responsibility is to remain faithful to the what, the end state, the wish fulfilled. By living in the feeling of the end, you are commanding the universe, by the very law of its being, to construct a bridge of natural seeming events to carry you from where you are to where you have chosen to be. This is the great art. To live as a conscious creator is to know what you want, to feel it as real, and then to rest in that faith, watching with quiet wonder as the entire world shifts, reshapes, and conspires to bring your inner truth into outer, tangible form. We began this exploration on the threshold of a great mystery, with the provocative assertion that the teachings of a 21st century mystic, Neville Goddard, find their uncanny reflection in the strange and wondrous laws of quantum physics. We journeyed through the core principles, seeing how the radical idea of imagination as the one true reality is mirrored in the observer paradox, where consciousness itself seems to summon the world into being. We explored how the law of assumption, the art of feeling your wish is already fulfilled, is a profound psycho-spiritual act of quantum entanglement, unifying your inner being with your desired outer experience. We have seen through the allegory of the divine sculptor how the entire cosmos can be understood as a responsive, living substance that has no choice but to conform to the vision held steadfastly within the Creator's heart. And we have grounded these immense concepts in the sacred, practical disciplines of entering the inner state, crafting a sensory-rich vision, and living with unshakable faith from that envisioned end. Now, at the culmination of this journey, the final truth reveals itself. The great secret is not merely in understanding this connection, but in daring to live by it. The profound power we have spoken of has not been newly granted to you. It has been your innate divine birthright all along, slumbering within you, awaiting only your conscious recognition and bold application. To continue to believe that you are at the mercy of an external world, a victim of circumstance and chance, is to continue living as a shadow, hypnotized by a reality that is nothing more than the reflection of your own past assumptions. The transformational call, therefore, is to turn away from the mirror and to recognize finally and forever that you are the face it reflects. It is a call to cease pleading with the shadows on the wall and to become instead the master of the light that casts them. This is your invitation to become a true alchemist of being, to treat your imagination not as a frivolous escape, but as the most sacred space, the Holy of Holies, where the blueprints of your life are drawn and consecrated. It is a call to honor your feelings not as passive reactions to the world, but as the very language of God, the creative energy that fuels the manifestation of your assumptions. It asks you to stand guard at the gates of your mind, to consciously choose the thoughts and feelings you will allow to take root, knowing that each one is a seed planted in the fertile garden of your reality. It is a call to faith, not a blind faith in an outside power, but a steadfast, unwavering faith in the power of your own consciousness to bring forth its desires, trusting that the bridge of incidence is already being constructed in response to your new inner state. To live this way is to fundamentally change your relationship with life itself. Fear is replaced with creative curiosity. Anxiety about the how is replaced with a serene focus on the what. The world is no longer a collection of random, disconnected events, but a beautiful, intelligent, and deeply personal symbolic dream, constantly speaking to you, constantly mirroring the state of your own magnificent being. You walk through your days not as a beggar hoping for scraps of luck, but as a silent sovereign, knowing that the circumstances of your life are loyal subjects to the King within. This is the peace that surpasses all understanding, the profound rest that comes from no longer fighting the world, but from consciously creating it through the artful revision of the self. Therefore, the ultimate message of Neville Goddard, echoed by the strange music of the quantum universe, is this: your own wonderful human imagination is the one true God, the operant power, the creative force that dreams this world into being. There is no other. Do not look outside of yourself for the power that you seek, for it resides within you as your own capacity to assume and to feel. Claim this power. Reclaim your divine identity as the dreamer of your dream. Choose the state you desire to occupy. Enter it fully in your imagination and remain there, faithful to your vision, until the world around you, like a loyal and loving servant, hardens it into fact. For you are not in this world is in you.